Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a 180-degree flare. So to get a 180-degree flare, you are going to need to understand how to get your 360-degree flare. The 360-degree flare, the formula for it is circumference divided by 6.28. So because this 180-degree flare is half of a 360-degree flare, because when you divide 360 by 2 you get 180. Okay, so you are going to divide the measurements you use for getting the 360-degree flare by 2. Okay, so for the 360-degree flare, you divide your circumference measurement by 6.28. So that 6.28, we are going to divide it by 2 to get 3.14, and that is the measurement we are going to use for the 180-degree flare. So now we are going to use radius is equals to circumference measurement divided by 3.14. okay, because we are getting a half of a 360 degree. So for instance, my waist measurement is 27 inches divided by 3.14 is 8.5. okay, so that is what I'm going to be using to cut out the flare for this 180-degree flare. I hope that is very clear enough. It's very easy. So your radius for a 180-degree flare is circumference divided by 3.14. Whatever you get is what you use to mark out your measurements. Okay, so to that measurement, I got 8.5 for mine. I'm going to add 3.5 inches to that because that's what I want the length of my flare to be. Okay, I'm just using this to show you. You can use any length you want. So when I added 3.5 to that measurement, I got 12.5 inches for the length. So that's what I'm going to be using for my length. So what you want to do is to mark the length you want for your flare, add it to the radius the measurement you got for the radius, and that's what you are going to use to fold your fabric. All right, so you know the amount of fabric you would need for your flare. I added the length of my flare to the radius measurement, and what I got is what I used to mark my flare. Okay, so for the radius I got 8.5 and the length I want is 3.5 inches. So I folded with 12 inches because if you plus 8.5 to 3.5 inches, you are going to get 12 inches. But first, I'm going to mark out the radius for this circle. So from the top part, the folded part, as you can see, I folded this pattern into 2. Okay, using the measurement I told you about, 12 inches. So from this edge like this, I'm going to mark 8.5 inches. What I'm marking now is the radius for the 180-degree circle. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches all around from the edge like so. So majorly the difference between the 90-degree circle and the 180-degree flare is that the 90-degree, you are not going to fold your pattern, you just cut with your pattern or your fabric open. But for the 180-degree, you have to fold your pattern using the measurements you have, the full length of what you want for your flare to fold it. So after marking the measurements for mine, I went ahead and connected the point like this. So what I'm going to do next is to mark out the length I want for the flare. This is not a standard. This depends on how much length you want for your flare. So like I explained, I want mine to be 3.5 inches long. So I added that 3.5 inches to the 8.5 I got as my radius. So I'm going to place my measuring tape on the point where I placed it, where I marked out my radius, then mark out the full length. So I'm marking out 12 inches just from the top of the folded part like this. So I'm going to keep marking this and rotate until I get to the end. Like I said, the length is not a standard. You can decide to use whatever length you want. The only standard measurement here is that you have to divide your circumference measurement by 3.14 to get your radius, okay, because it's the radius you are going to use to mark out the flay. So I'm just marking out the length I want for the flay. All right, so after doing that, I will just connect the point. It's very easy, guys, and if you don't understand anything I'm saying, if there's a part that is confusing you, just leave the question for me in the comment section. I will be there to answer your question, okay? So after cutting it out, this is what I have for mine. Like I explained in my previous video, you don't cut directly on the point where you marked out your radius point. So I'm going to go up by 1/2 inch. I'm just using this blue marker to show you so you know the difference. So this is my seam allowance for the upper part, because if you cut directly on where you marked your radius, you're going to be short of fabric. So I'm just adding about 1/2 inch to that measurement. That point where I marked out the 1/2 inch will be the point where I'm going to cut my pattern, okay? So for the lower part, I'm going to go ahead and label this one first of all, that is a 180-degree flare, and then I am short of pattern. I'm just using this to show you how to cut it, but what you are going to go ahead to do for yours is to also add seam allowance on the lower part before you cut it out. So I'm just going to cut this out from the point where I added the seam allowance on the upper part, okay? So I'll just cut it from there to the end. And for yours too, don't forget to add your seam allowance on the lower part. You can add about 1.5 or 1.5 inches on the lower part, so you can easily hem your fabric without being short of the actual length you want, okay? So that is what I'm basically doing, just cutting this out. The reason I didn't add any hem allowance to mine is because I'm short of fabric. The paper I'm using to show you this is very small. I just wanted to demonstrate this for you and show you how easy it is for you to make a 180-degree flare. So after doing all of that, the 180-degree flare is ready. It's just as simple as that. There's no two ways to it, nothing more, just this simple. So this is it. Like I said, if you don't understand anything, just leave the question for me in the comment section. I'll be there to answer your questions, okay? Thank you for watching. If this video has been helpful to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please share my video with your sewing friends. Until I see you again in my next video. Bye.